I'm not shaming you. I've been here like a year.
The last one,
yes.
Before MCU. Yes. Yeah.
So, I have to say 1 year.
Yeah, that's 3 years. 1 year is still fine.
Yeah. Very well, let me go to my computer.
But I'm back.
Welcome back.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
So the remote Singapore was reaction. They were doing reaction.
Yeah. And then their backend team on C#.
Steady.
So it's like the one that always got trouble is backend. It's like always supposed to be backend. So the friend is like finish the UI right, then just wait for deployment. Yeah. For development.
Back bunny, it looks very suspicious.
I mean, we have a lot of like updates.
This is how we get camera.
I mean, React is still, I think it's still be there. It'll be there forever. Just more. You go back and realize which one React stripped down.
I saw that one. What did they solve that
They're trying to solve like the DJ1 code base for like all platforms. Now you can only do the max you do what React Native and then use React Native web to like kind of like translate into like the web version. And that thing apparently is like really big and slow as fuck. Yeah, now you have like the React Native build, React Native web build now with Cometa, so you're doing like React switch off.
I hope we come to a time where we can just type the command and then
I haven't touched React for 3-4 years.
Yeah.
Am I missing out?
Not yet. Soon. I'm not joking, soon, wow, what the hell, like they change a lot of shit, like, maybe it's good, but then like, they change a lot.
Is Redux still used?
You can use if you choose to.
It's called redo.
You can choose to use it.
That's not a bad one. That's actually good. That's a very clever one.
I mean, now they just like context provider. But even context provider changing.
Kurang kalori. Okay, very good.
They're changing it like 1,000 to 900. From 1,000 calories to 900.
Really? You actually pay attention?
No.
Okay. No.
Oh yeah, that's the new Redux one. Because original Redux is so fat if you are still using original Redux. Every time I touch it, I'm going to change it.
Every time I touch it, I remember what.
I don't even know what the fuck is happening.
Hello.
You know what's the worst thing I hate about the Redux? Asynchronous thingy that
It goes live already, okay? Don't forget that.
Sorry?
How does it flow?
It goes live already.
He's saying you're already live.
I'm very well.
He's saying you're already live.
Can you count that? No.
So your face is just immortalized in a video.
Oh no.
And now it's a part of it is a context.
Okinawa, Toronto this year?
Sorry, what?
Okinawa or Toronto this year?
I don't know.
Not sure. Anybody going to Okinawa or Toronto?
It's both expensive.
Maybe not.
Maybe not. What are you doing?
Ringgit pressure.
I realize I'm poor. That's the reality.
Company training budget.
Negative one, I need to pay my company $1 to train myself.
Huh?
Is there like a Ruby Vietnam meetup or something?
Yep.
Or Thailand is the one that's.
I think Thailand is 2025.
Yeah, early 2025.
Bangkok is the best place to
Yeah,
go.
maybe Vietnam I won't go because it's not for the
Everything happens
budget.
there, it's very liberal.
But Toronto is far.
Too far, too expensive.
We calculated the flight ticket is 5,000 returns. Canada.
The last year.
And then the
Last year,
hotel and the
It's
transport.
2022.
Yeah.
Oh,
Gotta need to eat.
I think it was.
You gotta socialize. I'm waiting for the videos.
Because I think last year.
I was thinking to go Okinawa and I look at the last year.
No way.
You want to
No way, that's no way.
the
Which
chair
one?
around?
I think last year one I dislike
I think you have to like
a bit too
have a
soft and
sit
it's easily to ease the
Do you mind someone helping on the other side? Or just move this around?
I want to
Oh, real slow, yeah.
So like this.
Yeah.
What's the difference? Oh, I see.
Yes.
I know, but this real slow, they do it. It's very hard to get
Just
it.
make it open.
Thank you. We'll switch.
Yeah.
Hey. Wow, nice.
Starting soon. Yes. We have a nice couch. Yeah. Lean back over there as well, sure. Everyone's suddenly quiet.
Yeah.
We still have like.
I think as soon as like you turn the couch around, everyone's
It's like, ah, it's showtime.
What time are we starting?
I don't know what Helio's there. He's not saying anything.
I guess we can start at 8 o'clock in 5 minutes if you guys ready. We have 45 viewers.
Well, maybe you can start like what we call this, like the initial ones, and then by the time 8 happens, Has is ready to present.
Yep. Sounds good.
Yeah,
Sounds
just the slides.
Sounds like a plan. Let's get started then. Let me put things here. Hold on. There you go. I guess you all there in the room. Can you hear me? Or because I cannot hear you guys anymore. All right. Tristan, you good there? You can give me a thumbs up if you guys all hear me.
The thing is, if you remove us, you won't hear us.
Oh, okay. All right. So let me. I'm gonna leave them. You guys here on the screen. So we'll do like that.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. Perfect. All right, everybody. Thank you all for coming online or in person. Today's first Tuesday of the month, so it's Ruby Tuesday day. So today we are here for KL 105. And the meetup is brought to you by Ruby Malaysian Group and Engineers Mind. You can find us on all these places: Facebook, rubybrigade.my, meetup.com, GitHub, Ruby Brigade again. That's a link to the Slack. In Discord, we haven't been very active in Discord, but we still have a place there. And that's it. And today's venue, food and drinks, are sponsored by our friends from HiveKind, a dedicated development team focused on your success. Thank you all, team from HiveKind, for having us. All right. So, remember to introduce myself. My name is Helio. I'm one of the organizers of the Ruby Malaysian Group. I have Tristan in the office today. Tristan, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Tristan. I work here at HiveKind.
What's up, Tristan? Hi, Tristan.
I think looks like we can see ourselves on the what do you call this? This fancy camera is focusing on me because I'm speaking, I guess. I don't know how this works, but apparently it works.
You made such a cool setup today that I'm so sad that I can't be there with you guys today. But anyway, next month. So just a comment for the folks online. Your profile name, your profile picture, and your comments may show up on the stream. So be careful what you write there. And we go by the Rubyland Code of Conduct. Remember to treat each other nicely. And without further ado, today we have two speakers, two awesome talks that I'm really looking forward to hear them. The first one talking is Hassanin Ahmed, and he's going to be talking about your app as a framework. So, Hassanin, you ready?
Ready.
All right, so let me put you here. Let me take myself out of the
He took himself all the way out.
He took himself out and then now he can.
Yeah, but I guess this is it, right?
Yes.
All right, do we start? What's up, everybody? My name is Hass. So today I will be trying to talk to you about how do you proceed beyond Rails, but stay within Rails. So this is the most important bit. So like we all love Rails. Do we love Rails?
Yes.
Yay! But why do we love Rails? Something about it is very magical. So like, what makes it so much fun? What makes it so good? What makes it so easy? What makes it so much that we want to continue working with it all the time? So first things first, every time you open a new app, fresh, brand new app, you know, it's like all your past fuck-ups are gone. It's like you've never written shit code before and this is great, right? So the happy path follows standard conventions. So this is the most important thing. Whenever you start a brand new app, you're just writing Rails code. The Rails code that was intended by the framework, and that feels really good. You know, like all your controls look pretty slim. If user.create, user params, wow, wonderful. There's nothing that you want to add. There's no other connections. And everything is super easy to remember because guess what? You just wrote it. So it is easy to remember how you just did that or why you have. So the context that you have in your head is still pretty fresh. So you have this entire app mapped up in your head and you know exactly where to go. The code looks really good. You're very, very happy. And most importantly, you have not accounted for any edge cases. So nobody has looked at your app. Nobody has used it. So everything, according to you, works just fine, right? All right, first of all. There's two sections. There were going to be three, but then like I tried this presentation out, but it was a little bit too long. So the first one is talking about the right abstraction. So a framework is nothing more than just abstraction. So we're abstracting away the HTTP layer. We're abstracting away the database layer, the controller, the route, the views. Everything is abstraction. And then Rails builds on top of that. There's Active Record. Active Record is such a beautiful abstraction. You know, there is all of these things that it allows you to do. Your model looks really nice. So, but why do we always move away from it? All right, let's take a look. So, you've built an app. This is your brand new app. Very, very simple. You have a user model. We're not going to look at too much code right now. A bug report comes in, right? You're like, hey, a user who just registered can't sign up again. They can't sign in. What's up? So, Rails gives you the ability to look through the Rails console. You pull out the user ID and look. Very easy fix. Okay, they've just mangled their email address, you know, so when they typed it and now they're trying to type it again, pretty standard thing. So what do? You go to your user model, you have some callbacks, pretty beautiful, pretty nice, pretty safe. Okay, you lowercase the email, which is nice, just to make sure everything's pretty up in there. And then you compact the white space in the email, which is very, very simple. Wow, it looks great. You look at it, immediately you remember what it does. So good. All right, let's go. Oof. Bug report number 2. You're cringing now. It's like, all right, so somebody tried to export a CSV, and same thing has happened, but around the name. So like when you're now exporting first name, last name, there's still that same issue. All right. So somebody, not you, goes and looks at the code, and you're like, I know how to fix this. So it's a little bit different now. It's a little bit not as good. What bothers you about this code? What is not so good about this code? But like, what makes you think like, maybe I would write a comment in the pull request review? Anybody? Andy? What don't you like?
Safe or validation one first.
That's great. Yeah. So this is the first place that we have, you know, like deviated from what we've done before. So before this, it sounded like we were still all in unison about what we're going to do, how we're going to write it. But now there's just a little bit different here. Okay. So it still does exactly what it does. That's the thing. Nothing about it has changed. But it's just the decision that was taken. When do I make this change? Before save, before validation, before create, before update? What is it? So like now there is decision making involved. When you start a new app and you have user and you have blog post, super simple, user has many blog posts. The decision has been taken out for you. Okay, you don't think about it anymore, you just do it. And then the next association is has many, the next association is has many, you don't think about it. But now this is something not in the framework yet. Okay, but second thing, like we've got different naming. All right, is it compact or strip? It's kind of the same thing. They kind of mean the same thing, but it's really annoying that now there's 2 different ways of doing it. Also, this is a very simple example, but there's so many annoying things about it, right? So like now, we don't have an attribute called name.
but there is a concept called name, right? So all right, so do we write an attribute normalizer for every single one attribute? But now there's also this like, only if it's present. We don't want to do this shit on nil. So now it doesn't look as good. And imagine this as your app continues to grow, right? So what happened? Another bug report comes in. Same thing with titles. Damn, more decisions. Okay, it's the same thing, but it's happening over and over again, but you have to keep making decisions. The decisions are not just you, it's some other developer making them. They have a different idea from you. Everything just works. All right, cool. So what do you do? Same thing. I don't care. Lowercase title. Let's go. All right. Now we're repeating what we're doing with before create. Now this is going to introduce a bug. Okay, but nobody has seen it yet. Okay, because you're starting out, you want to push code really fast. Conventions have not been set, and this gets past the review. So it's, you know what it is. All right, so this is you trying to add something to your app, but oh no, there you go. Every decision, you're shooting yourself in the foot. So there's got to be a better way. All right, let's take a look. So there are many ways to normalize attributes. So this is just called a normalization. So you want to do something to an attribute. Maybe like the two examples that we looked at were like downcase and strip. So, you know, just like very simple. So we create a concern, all right, a normalizer. I'll show you the code in a little bit. So now we've taken the decision out. Immediately we know what to do. We just call on to this concern attribute. So now there's no name, no nothing like that. And then we're like, what you can do? We're like, hey, give me downcase, give me strip. Same thing, we go back to the post. And now everything is back working exactly as it should. You write it once. So this is the idea of writing it once. Okay, it's not about not repeating the code. The code is fine, but it's about cleaning up the decision-making process. I don't want to keep making the same decision over and over again, and I have to give it to other people to make the same decision. So very, very simple. This is not the point of the talk, but before save, we've already made a decision. We're going to do it before save. Doesn't matter what the decision is. We're going to take the attribute, we're going to handle nil, and then we're going to go through with each of the normalizing methods. We're going to apply them, and then we reassert. That's it. Everything that we did, we've taken the decision-making process out of it. All right? Cool, let's go on. So Rails is great. This actually now is a Rails 7.1 feature. It's called normalize. So you have this attribute now. So instead of like writing your own concern, there's a normalizes. It does exactly the same thing, but you can call it onto an attribute. So _1 just refers to the attribute, the first argument in the block. And in Ruby 3.3 or 3.4, the next one, there will be a new variable introduced. It's called itself. So you'll be able to say with itself.strip.downcase. Same thing here. We've taken out the decision-making process. Rails has done this. So now a lot of us we're going to go back and then we're going to write exactly this code because Rails has said it's okay to write this code. But why didn't we make this decision earlier? Okay, there are a few gems, there are concerns that we can write. There's a lot of things that we can do. All right, let's take a look at some examples. So these are some other examples. This is an example from an app that I work on. Okay, so an account that you have, your account in the application can be synced to intercom. Intercom is a chat, like a help desk kind of thing. And then you have attributes for when the support person is trying to support them, and then they know this is their account name, this is their subscription status, whatever it is, so they don't have to go elsewhere. So pretty easy. All right, first thing it does is like after create commit, all right, we queue the intercom worker. So this is going to create it the first time. And then the second time, we don't want to do this every single time. This is the key here, is that, all right, we're going to want to do a single check for every attribute. So we only want to change if the account name has changed, the country code, or the subdomain. All right, so this is what this code looks like. Straightforward enough, but this is used everywhere else in the app. So this is the time for you to think like, all right, it's not about repeating code, or like deleting code just because it looks the same. It's because it behaves the same. And that's what we're trying to solve for. So again, but now this one, like there's a small difference here instead. Is because this only does it on update, so it does not sync on creation. Because when you create an account, you also create a business. So there you go. Oh. So now there's a little bit of deviation. So what we ended up with, the solution that we ended up with, looks exactly like this. All right, no, not you yet. All right, so the example looks exactly like this. We have like a concern. It's called intercom updatable. And all we need to know is what attributes changed, like we need to call on. All right, and same thing, we are leaning into how Rails would write some code. All right, so like now we can use things like this only. We're like, great, sounds like Rails wrote this. Okay, but this is you extending your application as a framework. I said the talk name. There you go. Did you guys miss it? That's all right. So another one. Boom, killer. DJ Khaled. Thank you. You can move on now. Right. So this is also some code from this is actual code from an application. You have members in your application, and you can click duplicate to duplicate the member. Okay, so you just want to pick some attributes from it, just like some very, very simple stuff. I want, like, if I want to say duplicate on a member, I want the exact first name, last name, email, and I want the time zone. So the first thing we do is that we find the user we're trying to duplicate from, and then we assign a new member, and then we go on to do this. And then, but there's some associations as well. Fuck, we're here. Okay, so now we got to check if there is phone numbers. Let me know what to do about phone numbers. Same thing here, F addresses, and imagine this cascades every single time that you want to add a new attribute or a new association. All right, so what you can end up with, you can have a concern, duplicatable. All right, so now the member knows what attributes you want to duplicate. All right, and then also the associations. So I don't say what attributes of the address, because the address knows what to do about itself. So I call address.duplicate. I don't need to figure out, just like the attributes here. So every model holds itself. So the good thing is, there's another good thing that we didn't have before. Now, if I just want to duplicate an address, I can also do address.duplicate without the member. So before, this code that we saw just now was coupled. It was pretty coupled inside the controller, and then now you're stuck. It's like if you want to just do, if you just want to duplicate an address, guess what? You have to go and copy this code somewhere else. And then now behavior is the same, but then just like you have to write it again. All right. So this is pretty nice. So you have this. So when we call on address or phone numbers, this is the things. And also this lends itself to another great Rails concept, is that you have concerns on the routes. So you can add a concern on this route. We've talked about concerns here before in previous Ruby meetup. And if I want to say like, hey, whenever I use duplicatable, I want this route to be added, to be /duplicate. So now I can go member/1/duplicate, and then I don't need to add any /get, /thing, /nothing there. There's another one that we're using here, archivable. So like archivable introduces more than just one route. You have the archive put, you have the /archives on member. So now I can look at member/archive or member/1/archive. So like there's more functionality that this can be baked into. The thing that this helps is not only just code. The framework is not just in the code, it's also in your application. Your application now behaves consistently in different parts. Whenever I go to a table, do I have to guess whether I can duplicate a record? No, because we can just easily add this anywhere in our application, and then we can start duplicating records. All right, so now the code looks so sweet. All right, I want to find the member that I want to duplicate from, .duplicate. What happens, how it happens, that's the model's business. All right, so cool. That brings us to the end of the first section. Yep, so we can talk about some takeaways. So concerns are excellent and underused. A lot of times, like we have been taught, like concerns are a place to hide code or a place that is, just like a little bit ugly, but it really isn't. It's a great place to abstract some reusable behavior. It's not, again, it's not about the code that you're writing. That's not the case. It's about the behavior that you're duplicating. Okay, so like how you write that code doesn't matter. All right, so again, so this is an important one. Hiding complexity can be difficult. So a lot of the times, you'll get pushback like, but I don't know how it duplicates this code. Just like I come to this controller, I'm just like, but I don't know how to duplicate this code. But you only need to learn once. And this is what Rails affords you. It's like if I am hiding it in a good enough abstraction, it is easy to learn, and I need to learn it once. And now all this behavior cascades throughout the app. So this is it. So like, be a lot more liberal in your application. You don't have to spell every single line of code out. So conventions simplify decision making. This is one of the biggest problems as a developer. You are trying to write a feature, but then now you have all these small micro decisions that you have to make. Do I add a new table? Is it a new column? Is the column underscore at? Do we do date time? It's like, what do we name the column? So like every single time you make these conventions a common thing in your app, you're taking one decision away and you are extending that framework of your app. All right, let's go. Let me just take a sip and then we can start part 2. So, beautiful code is readable code. What does that mean? Beautiful code doesn't just look pretty. It is pretty because it reads pretty. Because like you read it and you're like, yes, I get what it does. It says what it's intending to do in a nice API. I don't need to spell every single line of code. Let's take a look. All right, so we have a very common sales reports controller, and then pretty simple. It looks pretty Railsy. There's, just like there's some declarations up top. So we want to get a filter by and a start date. So this is what this controller looks like. You have a date and how you want to filter by. And there's 2 ways to filter, daily, monthly. And Rails gives us such beautiful abstractions all day and all month. How good is that? So I can pick any day and I just say like, give me the monthly report from today. And that's going to give you from 1st March to 31st March. Perfect. All right, so pretty simple, very easy to understand, very easy to elaborate. And guess what? So we get a feature request. User should be able to filter by year. You're like, I know exactly the method and where to add it. Great. Right here. You're like, this is such a beautiful 2-line change. And then, you're like, yep, merge that shit. And you're so happy you go home, right? Perfect. So, but this presentation is not about this, right? All right, so feature request 2. We should be able to filter by shift. Fuck that. All right? Morning shift and evening shift, afternoon shift. Now there's, some concepts right here. So like, okay, so now we need to go and write more of that beautiful code, right? Nope, this is what we have. Everybody's controller looks just like this. Like, this is the truth. All right, so now what do we do? If it's filtered by shift. Now there's another attribute that we need to know. What shift are you looking for? So presence in is a helper that makes sure that the shift is actually inside one of these values. So if not, it will raise an exception. So this is also a nice way for you to make sure that some of these values are correct. And then, all right, if morning shift, great. Today's date starts at 8 a.m. If it's the evening shift, by the way, so it starts at 2 p.m. Great, all right, not too bad. We have end at, which is 8 hours later. Perfect. And then now we have start at to end at. Not bad, not bad. We almost got there. We still have it at this line, right? Not bad. But, yowza. Our product manager is an asshole. All right, by the way, so we forgot full day shifts. Now this is another edge case that we need to add. So somebody could work a full day shift for 12 hours. And then now what happens? Oh man. So, all right, so if it's by shift, get it, we add all day right here. And then now, the starting time of the full day shift is the same as the morning shift. So all right, I guess it's an else, it's an or. And then if it's full day, it's 12 hours, and if it's not, it's 8 hours. Man, this code is getting nasty. What about this code that sucks so much? What about it sucks so much? You look at it, you'll be like, fuck, why? But why does it suck so much?
Why do I need to know all these 8 hours, 14
Exactly.
hours, 12 hours?
Exactly. So your controller, your report controller knows about the shift. So there's so many things in here that it doesn't need to know about. What time does the morning shift start? What time does the afternoon shift start? How long is a shift? Imagine if you have another controller where you have to write this exact same thing again, and then the shift changes to 8.5 hours. Go look for this 8 hours every single place, right? And then now this is why it sucks, because it knows about things it shouldn't know about. All of this information is a concept in your application that you have not verbalized. If you and I were talking today and you'd be like, hey, there's a morning shift and an evening shift, we know what we're talking about. You know why? Because we're saying it. We are saying there's a shift. But this code doesn't. This code does not say it. We keep asking it like, hey, are you a string of shift? So this is feature envy, by the way. So, or like primitive obsession. These are, like a code smells. Primitive obsession, like morning is a string. Why is it a string? It is a concept that we talk about. So we've had all day, all month, all year, but we don't have anything about the shift. So we can do that. We're not even going to even look at that example, but this is real. This is you every single time that you just, why? And guess what? There has got to be a better way. Is there a better way? There is a better way. There is hope at the end of the light, at the end of this tunnel. All right, so a shift is nothing but a time duration. All right, so there is the concept of time, there's a concept of duration. Why don't we extend this? Why don't we lend some of these things that Rails lets us do? So if we do shift.morning shift, time.morning shift, I can say day.today.morning shift. Great. And then I know exactly what time this thing is. When does the shift end? Give me the end of shift of like evening or morning or whatever it is. Is this the morning shift? I can ask it now. Now everything about the shift can be done the exact same way that we had it before, where Rails gave us all these tools that we've now just lost because now we're just asking strings. Are you the morning shift? Are you the evening shift? 8 hours, 12 hours? We don't even know. So if we have a concept in our application, by the way, this is something that lends from domain-driven design. Anything that you would say verbally to somebody else that you work with or a customer has to be in the app. You have to unearth that concept into your app. But that's not the case of this talk, but you have to like get some of these things. Great. So how does this work? Now, we go back to our controller, you're like a little bit better, just a little bit better, so like we're getting there, all right? So we're almost back to where we were before. So we have some abstraction right here, okay? And then now it's just like, all right, so if it's daily, it's all day, all month, all year, and then all right, I guess we can do a for shift. All right, so because this is coming in as a parameter, so we can check it, and then we just say, all right, and then now we have duration. Perfect. All right, so just a little bit better. All right, we've improved on it, but wait, there's more. We can go further. The thing that we're trying to do here is trying to filter. So this is something that you would say to another developer, you'd be like, hey, the report filter is not working, but it was not something that we were writing in the application. You have to put it into code, because this becomes the common language that you speak, because this becomes the framework which you develop on, right? So now we have this filter, and this filter knows about duration. Guess what? So like exact same code that we had before. This may not be the best code for this scenario, but this is what we have right now. But now we have the concept of a shift and the concept of a filter, all right? And guess what? Our code looks so much better for it, all right? Because we have abstracted the right abstraction, because we have given it the sense of like, all right, we know what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out the duration, which can be, based on a day, a month, a year, or a shift. And then what we're trying to do is we're trying to filter it. So you can add any type of filters that you want. You can extend it. You can have many different apps many different filters as well. So like every controller can have its own filter, but maybe it inherits some values. That's also possible. So now we know, all right, filter, give me the params. Great, looks great. And then like filter.duration. Boom, we're back to that happy place where like you're saying the thing exactly what it is. I don't need to know about the shift, but the controller does, but the filter does, but the shift does. And then, so what are they? Find the ideas that don't fit in the call site. So the call site is where that code is. So when we were looking at this one, so let's go back to this here. Before that, right here. All right, so this is the call site where the code is being called. All right, what concept doesn't fit here? The shift, we talked about that, right? It's like the start time of the shift can change. All right, it does not belong here. The duration of the shift can change. Also, it does not belong here. We can have more than one shift, and it still doesn't belong here. What happens when it becomes like overnight shift? You start at 10 p.m., you end at 6 a.m. This is a real shift. All right, so like you need to put that into one place that makes sense. All right, so like that's the first idea. You go to where that code is being called, and then look at it. What does not fit here? All right, there's a lot. You will find a lot of code does not fit where it's being called. So this is your first instinct on to think, hey, there is something I can refactor here. There is some concept I can verbalize here, you know? So that's the second thing here. But think of the unspecified concepts in your app. What is in your app, or what your app is doing that is not in code? That you have not written as code, that you have not written as a class, or in abstraction, or anything like that. You have to find that. Whenever you see code that just is lines of code that just doesn't make sense, that this is a good idea. All right, so again, this may not be the only way. There are many ways, but as long as you're thinking, as long as you are looking, you're reading, and then you are thinking, like, does this fit? Does this not fit? Sometimes it doesn't fit and you know it, but this is not the time to do it. That's also fine, but as long as you're like, okay, there is this concept here that does not fit yet, the second time you need to call it, that's the time to refactor it. So again, it's not about lines of code, it's about behavior. All right, so, and the other one is like the Rails source code is awesome. There is like super high value to me personally, in the enumerable class and also in the time class. So these are two, like big classes that have massive amount of extension by Rails, and then you will learn so much. How do you call an enumerator? How do you call a lazy enumerator? Why would you call a lazy enumerator? Everything is in there. What happens when you call map? What do you happen when you call like map with index? What happens when you call map dot with index? So there's a lot of like really things that Rails lets you do, and Ruby by extension, which is very powerful, but we use it, but we just don't see it. So if you keep looking at the Rails source code, you can try to emulate it in your application. Every model has all of these, methods that you call that Rails gives you. Has many belongs to, except necessary attribute for, validate this, validate that. That's great. How can I write some of that? And this is the thing that you want to do. You want to be able to write some of that to create a framework on top of Rails, because your application doesn't end at the Rails framework. That's where it starts. Then you build your framework on top of it. So that's that. And the most important thing, one of Rails' main doctrines is that it provides sharp knives. Don't be afraid to write code that looks a good way, that behaves good. Whenever you abstract something, let's just say that filter that we looked at, or the normalization concern, it lets you test it easier. And I can only test it once. So if I was to test a concern, I would just test it once. I would not test the model, I would test the concern. I will create a brand new model that has nothing to do with the application, and then that's what I test. All right, so that gives you the chance to test every single use case without having any validation from the model, without any associations, without any of that. You're free to just test the concern. So provide sharp knives, so use the sharp knives. All right, that's it. That's the end of the talk. Any questions? Any questions? Anybody wants to?
How do you prevent over abstraction?
That's the most important question, and I think that's the hardest question to answer. I think you have to stop. You have to figure out when to stop. And the most important thing is you have to figure out when to start. You try not to start with that main abstraction. Write that code out, let it be useful, just like, all right, so the next time you go, then now you know about a little bit more of it. And also, one thing that I really like to do whenever I write code like this, I will write the API for it inside the model. So I would love if I can call it this way. And then I work backwards. So if I can just say something like, I don't know, one of the examples. So yeah, so this one's good. Just as an example. Whoa, don't go, don't fall. I'm trying to click, guys, but the lag is weird. Yeah, so I would try to write this before I try to write anything else, just to see what fits good. All right, what do I need to get this? So I need some params in there. I'm gonna need, the actual query in here. So one thing that you would see is that at first, this seems pretty fine. This query is very nice. All right, sales.wait created at duration. But then later on, you'll know that there's a lot more filters than just that. There's a lot more complexity than that. And I'm like, all right, so where can I put that complexity in? So you gotta start small. And as much as I would love to give you an answer, there's no way you are going to over abstract the shit out of it as you start. And then you will begin to mellow down. You'll be like, maybe that was a bit much. So give yourself some room to experiment. I think this is what we always hold off from. You're like Rails writes this kind of thing this way, how can I try to write it this way? Do one method, two methods, and then just slowly pick into that. Maybe you need to add, just now when we had the intercom concern, it says only update. You're like, okay, that's another step that you can go further later on. And then, so don't try to over-engineer the hell out of it in your head first. Write that code first, let it run, and then the next time you need to call that same behavior, not the same code lines, the same behavior, try to work on that. Yeah. Any other questions?
The takeaway is that you start with your ideal.
Oh yeah.
How Yeah, I like how you said it, like how I would like,
Yeah.
how I wish.
Yeah.
And then you write it, and then you implement it.
That's right.
at the back.
Yeah. So just like try to hide a lot of like service classes. Just like a lot of service classes, you're calling all this thing, and then one of them is .new.call, one is .new.perform. Just like try to move away a little bit of that. Try to like take what Rails gives you. That's fine. Create more methods on the model. It's okay. And even if you do abstract it into a service class, make it callable on the class. So if I have just like account dot just like subscribe to Stripe or whatever it is, instead of like Stripe subscription service .new and then you pass account in, no, just do account dot subscribe and then like pass that class into like from your model, Yeah. So like being able to read code that looks nice and then just like tells you what the story is just as important as you writing nice code. Yeah. Last question, anybody? Yep, nobody? All right, that's it. Thank you so much. I hope you had fun.
That's really good, Has. Thank you so much. Let me go back here. So our next speaker today is Yow Chun. He will be talking about hotwiring your Rails app. Yo, are you ready there?
You can plug it here.
You want to plug in your laptop?
Oh, so
Yes.
have to hear. If you want to.
There's a
Oh,
chair
this is your
here as
glasses?
well.
Oh, yes. Old man. So, but by the way, I was supposed to give this talk in the previous meetup, but I slipped the disc. Like an old man, but here I am.
There's a chair if you need to sit down.
It's okay. I'll just stand.
You don't want to slip a disc.
Believe it or not, I was sitting on the computer.
Is that how you get it by sitting?
You shared your screen, or did you remove it?
I remove it, yeah.
Okay.
So today's talk will be a combination of slides and also an application that I built. So the inspiration here was that I was trying to learn how Hotwire works. So I had my struggles trying to learn it from, wait, sorry.
We're looking into infinity. Is that how?
All right, there you go.
Right, so my journey of learning Hotwire was kind of a struggle because I find the official documentation from Rails kind of lacking. So what really helped me was this tutorial from Pragmatic Studios. So the application will be a reskin of what I learned from the tutorial, and also I would like to highlight some of the points that in the tutorial that wasn't really in the official Rails documentation. Yeah, so let's start. Right, so a brief introduction is Hotwire is a suite of front-end frameworks which provides a different way of building modern web application without using too much JavaScript. So, so it's a collection of techniques to keep the simple web architecture of sending HTML over the wire, not also losing the performance benefit of SPA. So the Hotwire framework mainly comprises of 3 components. Actually, there's one more, Stimulus.js. So Turbo Drive, if you started Rails way back, I think it used to be called TurboLinks. Right, so what Turbo does in simple terms is, instead of making a document request every time, so what Turbo does is to intercept the request and replaces it with a fetch. Right, and this will be illustrated later in the application. So the second component is Turbo Frames. So Turbo Frames allows us to divide the pages into independent contexts called frames. And Turbo Stream is in the combination of HTML which delivers changes over the WebSocket and also form submission. Sorry, this is the whole slide. Let me just. So, okay, this is an illustration of Turbo Drive. So, what Turbo Drive does is to intersect all link clicks and to send JavaScript asynchronously using fetch. So basically, it keeps the head, right? but it replaces the body on every single request, right? Yeah, so what it does is to prevent a full page reload. So this avoids the cost of re-downloading and repassing all the assets in the head, which is the JS and the CSS. So now we go to TurboFrame. So TurboFrame is something new. This is a simple illustration of what TurboFrame does, right? So what we can do is, in the simple body of a web application, we can start to wrap every single component in the app with something called TurboFrames. And with each frame, it will be identified with an ID. And using that ID, we can actually update each component using the backend by specifying which frame you want to update. Yeah. So the next component would be TurboStream Actions. So like TurboStream Action delivers page changes as fragments of HTML. So I think it does provide a very decorative way of describing DOM manipulation actions. So this is a snippet from the application. So if you look at here, in simple terms, is the first action would be to update a stat. So imagine there's a TurboFrame that's called stat, so it will update that and also prepend something new into the second frame, which is hiking logs. And also the third action would be to update the new logs. Right. Again, this will be clearer when I have the application. So this is a simple application. It's a reskin of the tutorial app that I did. So it's a collection of all the trails in KL. I hope you like hiking. So, okay, let's go.
Live demo.
Right, live demo time. I hope it doesn't break. So, as shown in the illustration just now, so what I did in this application, think of every single item in the page wrapped in TurboFrame. Let me just open the developer console. Now, if we inspect, can you guys see? All right.
Yep.
So every single item here is wrapped in the TurboFrame. So how it looks in the back end is something like this. So using a Rails helper called TurboFrame tag and using a partial, I'm able to wrap the single component in a TurboFrame. So what it allows me to do is, in this application, I want to be able to add trails into my list of favorite trails, right? So I'm able to do it without a full page refresh. So let me just illustrate. So I want to add Bukit Gasing. It's my favorite trail. I add it, and if I go here, now this is added to here. So you see something a little bit weird is this number is still showing 0, which I'll go through later by refactoring it to use TurboStream, right? So here, I also want to add another trail into my favorite trails, which is Turbo West. Sadly, this is closed already, you can't go. Right, so now this is added. I can also remove it without a full page refresh, right? So if I just open the network tab, right. So when I add this, you can see that this is a fetch request, right? So how do I know that this is a turbo request? Is that when I inspect the header, oh sorry, there's something blocking here. Unfortunately, so you can see that in the header there's a TurboFrame header.
You can move the, just, move this.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just hide it.
Can you move that? Oh yeah, right.
You don't have, this is the presentation, you should look at your screen. This is
Of
delayed
course.
by a few seconds.
Right, so, okay, you can see that the header request is looking for turbo frame trail number 3, right? So what the response does is it will respond with an ID trail 3. So by using this ID, JavaScript, there's a JavaScript that's part of the Hotwire that is able to identify and then replace that component in the DOM.
Right.
Yeah. So
It feels like iframes. If you've done that before.
yeah, I think I've done it
Yeah, iframes.
long time ago, but don't remember. Yeah. So now, so we have a problem here. So if you notice that whenever I add this, the counter is not updating, right? So when I refresh, it's updated because now it fetches the data from the backend. This is the actual count of my favorite trails. So this is where turbo streams comes in, right? So turbo stream allows you to do multiple actions basically. So the action, what we're trying to achieve here is that first of all, I want to add a trail into my favorite trail, and also at the same time update the counter here. Right, let's go to the controller and start adding it back. Right, so I prepared by the way, so I'm not going to do any live demos.
No live coding. Just
Alright, no live coding. So, okay, when you do not specify that the return format, so Rails just assume that this is a turbo frame that you're looking for, right? So, what I want to do is to replace this with a turbo stream. Okay. Now, it will look for a corresponding create action here. Okay. So again, TurboStream allows you to do 2 actions. Right? First action is to replace the trail with a new one, and second is to update the counter. Right. So the ID is favorite trails content. If I go back to my DOM, okay. So now let's try it again. So if I add, and now it's 4, right? I can remove, counter updates. Yeah, so this is the difference between TurboFrame and TurboStreams. I think for me, in simple term, TurboStream allows you to do multiple things in one action. Yeah, and also taking control without allowing Rails to just assume things for you. Yeah. Okay, let's move on to a second feature which I would like to demonstrate. It's called inline creation and inline editing. I think this is very useful in most of the Rails most of the web application out there. So let's say my app has the ability to log the heights that I've been to, right? So here I go to Bukit Gasing. So I just came back from Bukit Gasing. I think this time was so good, right? Oh, whoops, sorry. Actually, I meant to put 5 stars instead of 4. Right. So instead of making a full page request, let me just open the network tab again. I can do it inline. Right. Sorry, actually it was 5 stars, not 4 stars. Yeah. And I can update it here. Yeah. So let me just show you how this is done in the backend. So I have this hiking logs controller. There are 2 things involved here, create and update action. So create basically creates a new log, and here I'm using turbo streams to achieve this. Right, if we look at the turbo stream on the screen, actually the first thing is not relevant, by the way. You can just remove the first section. So the 2 action we're looking for is the one at the bottom. So pre-pen is a turbo stream action, right? So there's actually 7, I think more than that. So there's pre-pen, there's append, there's update and replace. I think there's 2 more, which you can look for in the Rails documentation. So here I'm using pre-pen, which adds it to the top of the list, right? So here I'm doing 2 actions. Add it to hiking logs, right? So hiking log is okay, here, the ID hiking logs.
Yeah.
And then I also want to update new log, which is the form, with a brand new form here, right? So whenever a new hiking log is created, I want to add the new log. I want to prepare it to the hiking logs and also update the existing new log frame, which is this one, with a brand new partial that's empty. Yep. So again, the update is kind of similar. So during the edit action, I also have a turbo frame that wraps the
The template is it the underscore hiking dash log singular one?
yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. If you don't know this one,
That makes sense.
yeah, we are using partials for each of the log. Yeah, so this basically renders a new partial with a fresh new log.
Buka the partial. Inside got ID or something.
Turbo
Oh,
frame
so
type.
hiking
you
log
cut
inside.
the
Yeah.
turbo frame back.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Oh, what attributes are inside?
So the turbo frame
Can
tab,
can we zoom in for a bit as well,
Yeah, sure.
especially since we're talking about this?
yeah,
Quite
Yes,
interesting.
looks good.
yeah. You can see a lot of relevant classes because I was trying to
But
reskin
there's
it.
also, there are also quite some magic in the first line.
Yeah, so turbo frame tab is a Rails helper method that pretty much magically, I guess is the right word, generate a frame based on the ID.
Okay.
Yeah, if you look at here,
Yeah, that takes out a lot of
Yeah.
JavaScript work.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So this is the second thing I want to show, inline editing. And also, I think this is something quite cool, which can be achieved using Turbo, is search within the application. So I want to look for TurboOS. Right. So how this is achieved is also using Turbo, right? So if you look at the network tab, with a combination of Hotwire, some JavaScript, and the debounce library so that I'm not spamming my backend, right? So here, you can see that there's a request to the backend, right? Again, the header, if we inspect, right? So there's a turbo frame in the header and also the corresponding response. So let me just show you how it looks like in the backend. So, okay. It's a form, and I want the turbo frame to be the targeted turbo frame to be results. Results, which wraps all the hiking trails, right? So I want all the results to be rendered to this results turbo frame, right? How this is done is on action, I have a stimulus.js which makes a submission, right? And to the backend, and the backend will run the index action, and then returning the HTML again, yeah, to the front end. So we can see the response here. this is basically the response. And Hotwire knows where to replace it if you have a header with the ID. Yeah, so this is very important. So if I just mistakenly change, let me show you what happens when I mistakenly have a typo so that the ID doesn't work in the turbo frame. So let's go to the partial and intentionally do a typo here. So this is what happens because turbo frames is not able to pass the response.
What's the response?
The response is the exception code. Yeah, because
It's an actual HTML page.
yes.
So basically the server was trying to find where, can you click on preview? We will see it in the network
Yeah.
terminal.
Yeah.
That one is more interesting.
It's a full page, so Rails
Yeah,
actually
Rails.
rendered a full page.
Yellow? Oh, okay.
So that means all of the Hotwire thing was also full, well, not full pages, but HTML that
HTML.
was
Yes, HTML that was passed back to the front end.
generated by
Yes.
Rails itself.
Yes. Right. So the last feature would be similar. Oh, so oops. So this is again, I'm able to filter my results.
So short. Can do such without.
Yeah. So again, this is achieved using the same technique by using a form summation. Yeah. And have this form summation target a turbo frame. I think, is there anything else?
When you submit the form, do you need to like state that it's a turbo form? So like in the form,
So
how does it know that you're not doing a HTML submission? What's the ID say?
I guess it's
No,
the
yeah.
partial, right?
Yeah, your in form, the search form, sorry.
this form?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it like how does it know?
This
Is
is-
it a turbo frame?
I think the turbo frame results.
I see.
Right.
I see.
So-
a folder as well.
Yeah.
Oh, can you comment that out and then submit it again and what do we
What
get?
happens?
Oh.
I think it's the first one.
Yeah, this is- yeah.
Try to type something.
Okay.
Trying to find things better.
No, it still works, but you. I
But
think-
the whole page changed.
Yeah, the whole thing was reloaded, I think.
Let me check what the response is.
You guys use it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the whole
I'm
HTML. You can preview it.
I should play with it.
Yeah, it's just.
Ah, so this-
Yeah.
Oh, so that's the whole screen. Yeah. Okay.
Hmm.
Cool.
Let me also inspect the header.
Yeah.
So one thing I realized that when you are doing a turbo frame action, the header is able to specify the ID. But when you're using turbo stream, somehow the header will be passing something that I do not really understand. So
If it's turbo stream, is there any relation to WebSockets here?
I think
That's,
Or are you still-
that's,
WebSocket is part of turbo stream, but with
that's
the
only if
example,
you
yeah.
broadcast.
Yeah,
Yeah.
only if you broadcast.
Yeah.
Yes.
So if you use turbo stream, there's still like request response happening.
Yeah.
Mm.
What about the inline editing?
Yeah.
So when you click on edit, like how does that button look like? Yeah. It replace. So did you also need to say like it's a turbo?
So here,
On that button, on the edit button.
The pencil.
this one,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
pencil. Ah,
So what does the pencil look like?
hold on. How did I do this? Let me just open it here.
Index.
So show
I think it's in the index. I'm not sure.
index. Hiking log.
Yeah. Where's the pencil? That one.
Form.
This one
Yeah, this
here.
one, yes. And so edit hiking log path.
Yeah, but how does it know that it is?
And edit action.
Yeah. So like, is it because like your edit is only responding to turbo frames?
Could it be like a log path by itself or the
And
button?
turbo frame just like take over your whole application.
That's what-
I think
All
so.
links go to turbo frame unless you don't want it.
Do you have an edit HTML or just
Yeah,
edit
I do
turbo?
have an edit HTML.
Okay.
Right.
Right. Okay.
So it does have a turbo
So
frame.
it's in a turbo
Let's
frame.
just inspect the response
Yeah,
here.
yeah, that'd be great.
It's the whole HTML. See, it's
Yeah,
from the
but
beginning.
then it's because you're inside the turbo frame.
I think
it only
here.
changes.
So if you look at here, there's a turbo frame header looking for hiking log 11. So I think it looks for it in the response here. So
Because you're calling it from inside the turbo frame. Because when you call edit, you're inside the turbo frame. Is that it? Yeah. That's it.
I think so.
So I guess because the response is the whole HTML, so
Yeah.
diffs the current HTML with the new
Yeah.
response, and then the JavaScript like reads HTML and
Yes.
just replaces
Yes.
the thing.
I think it kind of looks for this ID over
Yeah,
here.
And then you just replace the.
And then you replace the fragment with.
Yeah.
So you're not really saving like network traffic or processing time, but just by focusing in it. But it's more like a front end seamless
Yeah.
transition.
Yes.
Okay. Oh wow, this is really cool. Okay. So yeah, because like you're still sending the whole edit page, but only replacing that.
Well, which is great for progressive enhancement,
perfect, yeah,
right?
yeah,
Because if you don't have, for some reason, it doesn't work with like the thing, because if there's a network traffic problem,
Yeah.
you can refresh the page. It's still
That's right. That's
the
right.
same thing that you would have gotten if Turbo Frames is working.
Yep.
If,
So-
if you press the pencil, does the URL change?
No.
I think if you do like some turbo thing, like
Like
can
a history push thing.
something like that. There's a way to do that.
So you're saving state in the URL.
You mean? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So you
yeah,
stay
yeah.
in the URL.
Yeah, there's a way to do that.
I think, yeah, I think there is a helper
Yeah.
for that. I don't remember what it is.
Sorry, we're asking you to do a lot of.
It's
Yeah,
okay,
yeah,
it's okay. I'm trying to learn as well.
It's
Yeah.
trying to like, answer all of it.
Yeah, I think I forgot to show one thing. You can also delete it. Here.
Have you heard of something called HTMX?
Oh yeah, they were just talking about it. Yeah.
Before I go there, like,
Yeah.
are you open for questions, or are you still do you have more?
Yeah. Sure. I think this is everything I want to show.
How would you compare it with like either React or Vue.js? Let's say you know it as well as React or Vue.js.
So the last time I touched React was like 4 to 5 years ago. So I think the last time I was doing was still class components. Personally, haven't touched too much in production. So it was only one app when I was working with Andy, and I had limited exposure to React, so I don't think I can comment on that. Yeah.
So what front end framework are you using?
It's mostly
just vanilla
just
JavaScript.
vanilla JavaScript, stimulus.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Document.write.
Yeah, but one thing I really appreciate about React is that it does teach me the functional way and also how React actually slice things up using components. So it really helps me think of a web page in terms of components and how you actually build a relationship between components. How do you build a parent? How do you nest them together? And how do you pass things between the components? Yeah.
By the way, if you go back to the pencil,
Okay.
so
Can't
if
let me off the pencil.
you do data.
Let me check my battery first, wait.
Oh, the batteries.
You can, sorry.
No, I was just trying to fail actually. Yeah, so yeah.
Yeah, so if you go to the code of the pencil.
Oh.
Yeah, and the source code.
Mhm.
No, like inspect.
No, correct. Like, yeah.
Okay.
Like, so if you go to where the pencil is at, pencil.
Hacking lock.
Yep.
Yeah, so like after, like if you do like data, if you give it data, like after the edit, data turbo underscore action. Advance.
Yes, I remember there's something like this.
Yeah, so this will, if you go back.
I think this was supposed to be in the form. So when you do the search, right, it actually appends the
For the search.
history to the search,
Yeah.
so that you can pass this search to someone else.
Yeah, so
Yeah, so remember the search just now?
You have a query string.
Yeah, you have the query string. So when you put advanced, it actually persists the query string in the URL itself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Keep the
This is turbo action.
Yeah.
Or we can try that later also.
Yeah. So what does the pencil look like?
Let me just refresh.
Yay!
I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. We can also try this
On the search bar.
on the search.
Yeah.
What is that? Okay. What is it called?
So
Because you advance the state.
before we add advanced, so when you add edit, the URL doesn't have 11/edit.
Oh, what if you cancel it now? Will it go back to?
Oh, you mean it changed the URL?
Yes.
Hacking locks.
No, it does. Okay.
I
It's
can see
not
what
advanced.
the
Okay.
cancel button needs to advance as well.
Ah, I see.
Yeah.
Okay. That's great. We learned a lot
So
today.
it's also restate in the URL.
Yeah.
Because you're at the edit state, you
So,
save it in the URL.
Right, if you look at this, right, it doesn't save the state. So if I search for Bukit Tabo, oh wait, it does.
Or maybe you're already doing that.
Yeah, maybe I'm already doing it.
Yeah. Good job.
Wow, sure. If it's not a demo, I will never look into it.
Thank you, I see.
Good job.
Alright, I think that's all I want to show. So there's a lot of plenty cool stuff as well. Actually, there was a data table I wanted to show, but I think I didn't have enough time to actually do everything. So that was pretty cool as well. So in data table, you can do sorting and also appending all through turbo streams. Yeah.
I wanted to share, Hilio, I just want to share quickly HTMX because I saw that it's very similar to Hotwire.
Yeah.
Alright, so that's all for me. We'll pass it to Tristan.
Then I'll pass it to Hilio. So this is HTMX, and we just increase the font size.
And do you want to talk about HTML?
This is very similar. So you have the same thing. So you have like script source. You have click, and then the what they call this?
The syntax.
Yeah, the signal that this is handled by HTMX is this like hx posted something. So it's very similar where they are like against React or Vue.js, for example, where you're taking over the HTML with like all of these custom JavaScripts. Yeah, they want like HTML to be the front and center, and then you improve it with JavaScript. In fact, they have this where you have a Hotwire Turbo to HTMX because it's very, very similar with each other. Hotwire has the same, how would you call it? The same idea with improving the experience of the front-end HTML by adding a sprinkle of JavaScript. So yeah, you have this, you have the Turbo drive experience, and then you have, instead of HX boost false, the Turbo false, all of these things. So it's called HTMX. Their Twitter X thing is very funny because they have a lot of memes over there, so take a look. They talk a lot about REST and how REST should be, like the actual REST, like about how do you structure your URL so that they actually follow the format. It's not doing what many JavaScript frameworks do. They say it's REST, but it's actually RPC, but using HTTP as the carrier. So it's not, they talk about a lot of these ideas. Lots of them are like 50-year-old ideas that still make sense today. And then they're like being rediscovered and modern techniques being applied to these things. And like I think Has talked about this as well, like the concept of domain-driven design about these kinds of like encapsulation. There are like 50-year-old, 60-year-old ideas from when programming languages were still being researched, and then now we're rediscovering them and applying them in a modern sense. So it's good to take a look at them. Sorry, Helio, do you want to take it away? You're muted, by the way. Helio, you're muted.
Truly, you're right. I'm muted. Thank you. So thank you, Has. Thank you, Yow Chun, for your talks. Very great talks. Really nice. I'm going to message you guys every week to check with you next time you want to come talk again. So keep an eye on for my messages on Slack. All right. All right, moving on. Hiring shoutouts. We have a few here. HiveKind is hiring Rails, Ruby on Rails developer or something like that. You guys, if anybody interested, you can talk to Tristan or anybody else from the HiveKind team there. But Teriku is hiring another developer. You can just email Aswan. If he's there, you can talk to him as well. CoinGecko and Cheap Asia, they also have a lot of openings from interns to back-end developers, front-end, and other non-tech related jobs. If you know anybody looking, recommend you guys check out those pages there. And with that out of the way, that's all we have for you guys today. And I hope see you all next month. Thank you all.
Yay! Okay, yeah, that's it.
All right, that's it. Hey, Tristan. Okay, so I'm gonna end the stream here, and you guys finish the pizza there. Hope you next month I can walk again, and I will hope to meet you all.
Bye. Well, that's the end of this. Still can continue on. If you want to check with Yow Chun, YC on like Hotwire, or like ask us about like how to make nice flowing APIs for your application. You can still continue on. But we'll get you out at around like 9:45.
Tristan, do you want me to keep the streaming on and you turn it off later, or should I turn it off now?
Turn it off. But I'll keep StreamYard on just in case you want to.
Okay. All right. See you guys. Bye. Take care.
Obrigado.